Welcome to Medical Intuitively Speaking. I'm Kim Louise, medical intuitive and holistic nutritionist. Join me on a journey to discuss all things medical intuition, metaphysics, nutrition, and energy healing. I'm so happy you're here. Let's get this started. Well, hello and welcome to the show. In this episode, I'm going to discuss another client medical intuition session regarding a lovely gentleman who is 42 years old. I want to first mention that he has given me his permission to share the information from his session, but his name will be kept private. And just for some background information, and if you've already heard from my previous podcast how I go about connecting to the energy of my clients, you can just skip over this section. It'll be about 3 minutes long. And prior to any of the appointments with my clients, I ask that they don't tell me anything about their health concerns ahead of time, as that can influence the reading. And I base my readings off of a current headshot photo of them. Once I get their photo and prior to the medical intuition session, I spend 2 hours connecting to their energy to assess their health issues. I also ask my guides to assist me along the way. I look at their body from head to toe, front to back, and at every organ and at each body system during the assessment. I will also project myself remotely, similar to remote viewing, to look inside of their body for a close-up look at specific body parts. I will receive the information through various ways. I will see it in my mind's eye. I will hear it, feel it, or the information will just drop in as a knowing. I receive the information about their current health issues, previous health issues, and even health issues that may reveal themselves in the future. During the actual medical intuition session, I will explain everything that I was shown. And I ask my clients to just let me know at each point if the information resonates with them or not. I ask that they don't go into any detail until after I've explained all of the information that I've received as that can influence the reading. When I was doing the prep work for the session with this client while connecting with his energy, the immediate download that I received was that he has a lot of difficulty with mental focus and is easily distracted. I was also being shown that he has a tendency to use humor as a coping mechanism. When I got to his chest area, I was feeling a profound heaviness in his heart center. And this felt very strongly to be due to the loss of a brother. I was being shown that this sadness was being held in his chest area, and it was impacting his heart and his lungs. When I reached his esophagus and stomach area, I was being shown issues with acid reflux, but was also being shown that he was taking a proton pump inhibitor, also known as a PPI. in order to minimize his stomach acid. When I looked at his mouth area, I was being shown that he has some missing teeth and that there were opportunities for more focus on his dental and oral care. When I looked closer at his lungs, they were dark colored and I was hearing him coughing. When I looked at his sleep patterns, I was hearing loud snoring and it felt like he has sleep apnea. When I assessed his immune system, I was being shown that he has a strong susceptibility to getting sick and that he had a lot of body-wide cellular inflammation. When I reached his pancreas, I was being shown that there is an issue specific to insulin and blood sugar dysregulation. When looking at his large intestine, I was seeing a tendency towards constipation and gas. When I looked at his prostate, I was seeing a tendency towards erectile issues. When assessing his cardiovascular system, I was seeing a tendency towards cardiovascular plaques. When I looked at his whole body, I was being shown issues with weight management. So during the phone call with him for the medical intuition session, after I explained all of the issues that I was shown, he let me know that unfortunately his brother did pass away 8 years earlier, and he's never really dealt with the feelings of devastation. His brother was much younger than him. He was only 21 years old. This caused my client to have a lot of depression and anxiety, which led him to start taking an antidepressant. He also dealt with those repressed emotions by stress eating. This had all led him to gain a significant amount of weight. For his emotional health, I highly suggested that he work with a talk therapist to work through the sadness that he was holding on to. I also explained that this was impacting his heart and lungs, and it would be really beneficial to finally work through those repressed emotions. Regarding the esophagus and stomach issues, he said that he had bariatric surgery to have part of his stomach removed for the purpose of losing weight, as he said he was significantly overweight. During that bariatric surgery, they found that he had a hiatal hernia, which was causing the acid reflux that I was seeing. They were able to fix his hiatal hernia during that surgery. Now, as a side note, for those of you who are not aware, a hiatal hernia is when the stomach irregularly protrudes through the diaphragm and can cause a lot of issues with acid reflux. It can also cause Barrett's esophagitis and can lead to more esophageal issues. Hiatal hernias can often be diagnosed by getting an endoscopy. Surgery is often not an option to fix it. but oftentimes a chiropractor can manipulate the stomach back to its normal configuration. There are also some at-home techniques like the warm water method and certain yoga exercises. So after his bariatric surgery, my client lost 100 pounds. As I was shown during the initial assessment, his doctors did have him taking a proton pump inhibitor to reduce his stomach acid. Now, some of you may have heard me discuss the importance of optimal stomach acid in one of my previous podcasts, where I explained that we need that stomach acid for many reasons. It's our first line of defense against pathogens that enter through our mouths. We need it to digest the proteins that we eat. We need it to absorb important nutrients like calcium, magnesium, iron, and vitamin B12. And we need it to keep the pH low enough so our food can proceed into the small intestine for further digestion and absorption. My concern for him was that he may not be absorbing those critical nutrients that are so important to his whole body health. It's also very common to end up with bone density issues when taking a proton pump inhibitor. I suggested to him that he frequently do blood testing for those nutrients to see if those nutrients are getting absorbed. Regarding his dental issues that I was seeing, he let me know that he has some missing teeth and that he also has periodontal disease. Regarding his lungs, he said that he has asthma, which causes him to cough. So that's why I was seeing the dark lungs and the coughing. Regarding his sleep patterns, he said that he does tend to snore and that he uses a CPAP machine because he has sleep apnea. As a side note, I speak with a lot of people who use CPAP machines who happen to have long-term sinus infections. And though my client didn't have a sinus infection, I feel it's still really important to mention here that many of those people don't realize that their sinus infections are often related to the CPAP machine and how they are not cleaning the tubing and the water reservoir sufficiently. It's also really important to change out the tubing often enough. So when you get the call from those medical companies reminding you to get the tubing, the new tubing, definitely get that new tubing. It's really important. And I can't emphasize how important it is to do those things, as honestly it becomes the perfect breeding ground for those unwanted microbes if you don't clean the tubing and the reservoir and getting the new tubing. And I've seen clients who use antibiotics and other medicines for their sinus infections, only to have those infections recur. And unfortunately, they're just not realizing that it's due to those unclean CPAP machine parts. regarding my client's immune system, he said that he definitely has a high susceptibility to getting ill and having a lot of inflammation. And I suggested various nutrients to support both. Regarding the insulin and blood sugar dysregulation issues that I was seeing, he said that he has type 2 diabetes. We talked a lot about his diet, and he said he was still eating a lot of starches, and we talked a lot about dietary changes to support his blood sugar and insulin regulation. Regarding his large intestine, he said that he definitely has constipation and gas. We discussed the importance of drinking enough pure water, which he said that he wasn't doing. A good rule of thumb is to drink half of your body weight in fluid ounces of pure water, up to 100 fluid ounces. And when I say pure water, I'm just referring to water that's not like mixed with a powdered drink mix. This is just pure water, whether it be filtered or bottled. That's a whole separate podcast on the quality of water, but we're going to leave it at this. But regarding the erectile issues that I was seeing, he did say that he was having some issues. I explained that this is often related to long-term effects of blood sugar dysregulation, cardiovascular issues, hormonal issues, and enlarged prostate issues. The goal here was to get his blood sugar regulated, as that's one of the main pillars to optimal health. If that's dysregulated, then that can have a cascading effect on many other body systems. Not only cardiovascular and erectile health, but it can lead to cataracts, dementia, thyroid hormone imbalances, sex hormone imbalances, neuropathy, immune issues, and inflammation, just to name a few. As a side note regarding diets that are high in starches, though many people are aware of the effect of actual sugar in the diet, many don't know that starches break down to sugar and that they have the same impact on blood glucose. When I refer to starches, I'm referring to potatoes, rice, oatmeal, cereal, bread, pasta, pretzels, chips, cookies, popcorn, and even gluten-free products like breads and pasta. I suggested to him a more balanced, whole foods-based diet, much lower in starches and sugars, focusing on chicken, beef, seafood, pork, turkey, eggs, nuts, and seeds, if he's able to digest those well, non-starchy vegetables, and fruit in moderation. In addition to dietary changes, I made some suggestions for nutrients that can be supportive of healthy glucose and insulin levels. Another reason that people can end up with blood sugar and insulin issues is due to our response to stressful events in our lives. This involves the adrenal glands and the hormones cortisol and adrenaline. Since he was dealing with so much anxiety over his brother's passing, in addition to working with a talk therapist, I also suggested meditation, deep breathing exercises, and specific nutrients that can be supportive to help calm his response to stress. Well, my dear friends, this is where I am going to wrap it up. If you are wanting to have a medical intuition session with me, my website information will be posted in the show notes. If you have any questions, you can also find my email in the show notes. And I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe to the show and leave a nice review, as that can help other listeners to find the show and it helps to grow this podcast. And I want to thank you for listening